Warning, this is a national alert. Reported sightings of the infected are increasing. The authorities are warning the public to stay inside. Do not leave your homes. Do not open your doors. Do not panic. Symptoms include excessive book buying, high levels of sitting down and reading, and addiction to fictional worlds. Stay safe, stay inside, do not panic. We've got the situation under control. I'm just a little bit high-key obsessed with The Walking Dead at the moment, and I have been wanting to read some zombie books to go alongside that obsession for a good few months now, and I'm finally doing it. Also, I hope you like that intro because I had so much fun filming that. So this is a zombie reading vlog. As I said, fully obsessed with The Walking Dead. I watched it when it first came out. I stopped at the start of season 7, if you know, you know. And I picked it back up a couple of months ago to try and get past that point. I have now overtaken that point. I am still mentally scarred from that point. But I want to read some books about zombies. So you'll have already seen the TBR for this vlog. I would love to be able to add the actual Walking Dead books onto this as well, the comic graphic novel books. I would love to be able to add those on, but I don't currently own them, so that's a slight problem. But it is my birthday this weekend, and I do have the compendium bind up of the first, like, is it 40 or so on my wish list. So if I don't get it for my birthday, I will probably just buy it with vouchers for my birthday. So that might well end up being added to this TBR. But for now, we have got Wranglestone by Darren Charlton, we've got World War Z by Max Brooks, and we have got Feed by Mira Grant. The one I'm most excited about here is Feed, because this is the thing that started this whole video. I have had this for a little while now, and I think it sounds like it's going to be the perfect blend of zombie horror with comedy, which I think every good zombie book needs, to be honest. I think that's what makes things like Zombieland, for example, perfect, because they've got the comedy and the horror element. The Walking Dead, not so much on the comedy, but sometimes there's a good one-liner or two. World War Z, I want to say World War Z because that's how, like, the film I know as it being said, but Z, World War Z. This was recommended to me by a bookseller and Mr. B's when I said that I was going to be filming this video. They said that I had to pick this up. I have watched the film, but apparently this is nothing like it, and this is like following lots of different people's journeys, and the film was just inspired by one of them. And then the book that I'm going to be starting this vlog with is Wranglestone by Darren Charlton. This is a YA that is following some people who have been in the zombie apocalypse for a while now. There's children that have never known anything but being in this apocalypse environment, and they all live in the middle of this big lake, except every winter the lake gets frozen and the zombies can walk across the ice to get to them. So that's the threat. It's a gay love story, it's a zombie book. This is the first book I'm going to start with because I feel like this is going to be the lightest, possibly. That was my logic. So this is going to be a reading vlog for zombie books inspired by The Walking Dead. I'm so excited to get on with this. I've been really looking forward to starting it, and I really hope you enjoy it. I am reading and consuming so much zombie content at the moment. I think I'm living in a zombie apocalypse. I keep looking at things around me thinking, could I use this as a weapon? That's where my brain's at the moment. Wranglestone. I am over halfway through this book. I ended up picking up as an audiobook after reading about 50 or 100 pages of it physically because it was so slow and I was just bored. It's much more of a romance than it is a zombie epic, which is what I thought it was. I thought it was going to be like a mix. I thought it was going to be zombie epic mixed with romance because I'm pretty sure that it said that on the cover, maybe? But we're very much more in the romance era of it at the moment, which I am enjoying the romance of it, but I just want more of the zombies, you know? I want more of the kind of epic, big zombie battle moments where you just about get away in time, the tension that you expect from a zombie novel. It's just not quite there. Also, I want more context. I want to know whether we know why the zombies have come about. I want to know how this community was established, because this community is basically living in the middle of this lake on all these different islands. I want to know, like, what happened to the rest of society. I have so many questions. Granted, I haven't finished the book yet. It is one of a series. A duology or a trilogy, I don't know. I know there's at least one more out. So there are questions that can still be answered, but it's not quite ticking the boxes for me. I just want more big moments. Like, also, the deaths are so underwhelming. I think that there's a reason for that possibly, but they're very underwhelming. We're about to find out some more stuff that's happening that's kind of been guiding the plot along. There's been some intrigue building, and I think we're about to get some answers, so that I'm looking forward to, but I don't know. It's like sitting at 3-star for me at the moment, but what I am enjoying more is Feed by Mira Grant. I picked this up as a physical read. This is chunky. I'm 120 pages in. This one gives me all the context and all the backstory to the point where it's almost a little bit info dumpy, but I don't really mind because it's giving me everything I want from a zombie novel. In Feed, we are following 3 characters who are bloggers. The zombie apocalypse happened 20 years ago. Bloggers have very much become the way that you consume your media and your news, because when the apocalypse happened, the news sources were just not giving people the right information, or like weren't being as truthful, whereas the bloggers were. So we're in a society where we're following these bloggers as they get involved in this big campaign story that they're working on and trying to expose some truths along the way. We're 20 years after the apocalypse happening, and we are living with the zombies now in this book. I mean, not literally, they're not living in your house with you, but it's basically the concept is that the zombies are here to stay, and so are we, type of thing. So it's a world in which the apocalypse has happened, everything has gone to crap, but we are still kind of seeing civilization and society is still kind of standing. I think it's a different take on the zombie apocalypse to what I have read or consumed through TV and film before, and I'm quite enjoying it for that reason. We are seeing normal life semi-resuming, and I don't know how long that's meant to have been resuming for, whether it never stopped happening, but there's very much an integration of a kind of pre-apocalypse life happening with a post-apocalypse life. So there's schools, there's a presidential campaign, people own ranches, like there's, I'm just trying to think of examples, there's like restaurants and things. It's very modern and at times very futuristic, and I think that's a really interesting take on the zombie apocalypse, because usually you just see a world that's gone to shit and everything is ruined and everything is completely buggered and there's really no hope and it's just about survival. Whereas here, it's about survival, but it's also about living and how these characters are choosing to do that. I love the way that this is going and the route it's taking, and I like the fact that we get the information as to how the apocalypse happened. The blurb even tells you that there was a cure for cancer and a cure for the common cold, and in doing both of those things, basically the virus was created that infected all the people and made them into zombies. I just think this has got a bit of an angle to it that I think I'm going to find very intriguing as we explore more. This is also part of a series, so I'm assuming this is going to have like kind of first book syndrome with something like this, where we get all the information thrown at us so we can then be established for the rest of the series. We've had 1 or 2 big high stakes moments so far, which has been fun, and we've got to see a little bit of the zombies, but not enough yet, which I think is good because it's leaving me intrigued. But generally, I'm enjoying this one a lot more, and I think this is kind of what I wanted from a zombie novel. Like, I want the backstory, I want the history of how we got there, I want to know what's happened to the world and how everyone is still surviving, and I want to see the danger that comes with that, and I think this is going to do that. So definitely enjoying this. Have a lot to go so far, and then I've also got World War Z or Z to still read. A lot of Walking Dead episodes to watch as well. I have got about, where am I? Like near season 8 now? I feel like I just want to push through to season 9 or 10 at the moment, because that is, I've been told, where it picks back up again. So I stopped watching it at season 7 years and years and years ago. So I've overtaken myself in my rewatch, but I'm aware that these next few seasons are pretty slow. So I'm just kind of waiting for these ones to be done and then to get back into the big moments that I know are coming, because it's really hard to avoid the spoilers for The Walking Dead. Obviously, we'll not be putting any spoilers in this vlog, but there's certain things that I know that happen, and I'm kind of now waiting to see how they happen because I don't know context. So I'm excited about that. Anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling and keep reading zombie books. I have got Walking Dead bones to pick with how beautiful everyone is in that goddamn show. Like Maggie, Michonne, Rosita, Sasha, like so many people just look constantly amazing. And I'm like, you're in an apocalypse. You're in a zombie apocalypse. Why do you look so stunning all the time? Anyway, I finished Wranglestone. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It bored me. It was dull. I think I probably should have guessed that it was going to be like a softer zombie novel from the cover and from the blurb, but I just was hoping it would be a bit more gritty than it was. It did, I give it credit, it did go about the zombies in an interesting way, and it has opened itself well for the rest of the series. I don't know how many parts are in this series, if it's a duology or more, but I will not be continuing with the series. I did like parts of it. and I did find it intriguing. And I do have questions about the way they've kind of expanded this zombie existence. But it wasn't for me. Still reading Feed, still enjoying Feed, not made that much progress in Feed because it is slow, but it's rich and I'm enjoying that richness and that's what I want. So I'm looking forward to getting a bit further into this and seeing the drama play off. And then I've got World War Z. I would really like to be able to buy the Walking Dead compendium to read in this vlog, but I honestly, it's so expensive and I just don't think I can at the moment, so that might be a separate vlog. If you would like that, please let me know. I don't know. I'd love to try and get it, but we will see. Have been watching more of The Walking Dead though, and we've finally been introduced to something else in the plot. Season 7 is slow, and I knew this because this is when I stopped watching it before, and I know that season 8 is also going to be slow, and I'm just kind of powering through. But it's so slow, but we've just been introduced to something else that I'm hoping is going to make it a little bit more interesting, as I just need something. I need something. I am still looking at every object around me and wondering what kind of a weapon it would be like in a zombie apocalypse. For example, hang on. This plant. Could that be useful to me in a zombie apocalypse? I could smash the pot over a zombie's head. I don't know if anything here would be very useful. There's a little mirror up there. I mean, I could use that for glass. But this is what my life has become. I just look at everything and wonder how I could use it to defend myself against the zombies. I don't think I've ever filmed in this room before. This is my main bathroom. I have just run myself a bath. My neighbour rang my buzzer at 3:45 a.m. this morning, drunk. It has happened before. I cannot disconnect my buzzer. I have no choice but to have it connected at all times. And just basically interrupted the middle of my sleep and I woke up feeling very tired, and this has happened so many times. I'm not happy. That aside, I did not feel the most awake when I woke up this morning, and then I've been out with my friend Connie all day and it's been really wet and cold-ish because of how wet it was. So I've come home, I've ran a bath, I've got my book. Here we go, got my book. I am here through, made a bit more progress. Still info dumpy, I kind of wanted to pick up the pace, but I'm still liking it. I got another book, let me show you what that is. So I picked up Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which is by Jane Austen and Seth Grahame-Smith. I have watched the film for this but haven't read the book. I actually also haven't read Pride and Prejudice, but we're gonna just dance over that one. But I picked this up because it's zombies and I might try and squid it into this vlog if I can. Apparently it's very funny. I thought Feed would be funnier and it isn't, so I think I do need to throw some humour into this vlog. National Trust bookshops are always really good for finding little hidden gems, so I picked this up. But right now, it's time to get in this bath and enjoy a bit of chill. I haven't watched Zombieland Double Tap yet. I've watched the first one many times and loved it. The second one's on Netflix, so I'm gonna watch that tonight. It's not The Walking Dead, but it's still zombies, so it's in keeping with the theme. It is a Sunday night. I have got sushi on the way. I mean, it's 8:03 at the moment, so I feel like it's not going to arrive for then, but I've got sushi on the way, and I have got about 100 pages left of my book. So I might try and finish this tonight, possibly. I don't know. I might watch a film. I enjoyed Zombieland Double Tap yesterday. This needs to pick up a little bit for me. I think I started off really enjoying it and loving that it was bulky. And the more I read, the more I just want more zombies. Like, we had some zombies at the start and we've had one zombie in the middle, but it didn't last very long. It wasn't much, like, there wasn't a great deal of zombie-ishness at that point happening. And I want more. We got 100 pages left. I need more zombies. It's very political side of things, which I didn't necessarily expect from it. Maybe I should have. I don't know. I'm still enjoying it and it's a different take, but I want more actual zombies. And I thought there'd be a bit more humour. There's dry humour at times, but it's different to what I thought. Still liking it. Just give me zombies. I got a reading update for you. I finished Feed. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. It was good, but there were not enough zombies. That is my whole review. Why am I picking books for a zombie reading vlog that don't actually have zombies in them? Like, there were zombies in this, but it was like fleckers of zombies. Like, Rick Grimes would have laughed in the face of what these people have to deal with. it was a very civilized society, and I appreciate that we saw that side of things. We were following a presidential campaign and a kind of side story going along with that, that's kind of a question of like morality and a conspiracy theory, and it's an interesting concept. I liked it. It surprised me. It went in a direction I didn't think it would, so in that sense it was good. But I want zombies. I want big epic zombie moments, and there were a couple, but not many. For a book that is nearly 600 pages, not enough. Before, like, the last 100 pages, I was fully committed to, like, DNFing this series. Like, I wasn't going to continue with this series. I was going to finish this book, but not the series. Then it did a thing, and now I don't know. I don't know. I don't think the second book is an Audible. I might be wrong, but I did have a look if this one was, and it wasn't, because halfway through I was like, this is too slow, I need the audiobook, but it wasn't an option. So we pushed through. But I don't think the second one is on Audible. Audible. So I think it's a physical read option, and I don't really want to sit and physically read another nearly 600-page book that doesn't actually have many zombies in it. I don't know, maybe the second book will pick up in pacing, but I'm just, the way it ended. Yeah, so that's thoughts on this one. Kind of pleased myself for physically reading that, because I have got into a habit at the moment, and I've said this a lot recently, that if I'm slightly bored of a book, if it's slightly slowing down, I just switch to the audiobook. And often it can save the book, but also I feel like it's just me defaulting to that and I want to physically sit and read, so I'm glad I did do that. But the plan for the next reads. So I did say I'd like to try and get the Walking Dead compendium. I think I'm just gonna have to scrap that idea for this video because 1, it's expensive, and 2, it is huge, and I just don't think I've got enough time to read it before this video needs to be up and edited and live. So these are the 2 books remaining on the TBR. World War Z, which we already had on the TBR, and a new edition, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. World War Z I'm gonna do as an audiobook. I think it's a full cast audiobook, possibly. Was gonna physically read this, but I think now that I've added another book into the mix, I'm gonna do audiobook for this one and physically read Pride and Prej and Zombies. This one is lots of short stories, I think, coming together. It says on the top it's an oral history of the zombie war, so I'm intrigued to see how it goes about that. I don't know what my expectations anymore are. Simon Pegg says it's an absolute must-have, and Simon Pegg knows what he's talking about when it comes to zombies, so I'm gonna trust that. There's gotta be actual zombies in this, right? Like, this has to have a lot of zombies in it. The film had a lot of zombies in it. That's book 1. Book 2, Pride and Prej and Zombies. I have only consumed Pride and Prej through the zombie world. I have not read Pride and Prej. I have not watched the film. I have only watched the film for this adaptation. And now I'll be reading this book. I don't know why I haven't read or watched this yet. I don't know why I haven't, but I just have never done it. And I know I should, and I will. But we're gonna start with zombies. And this cover gives me zombies, so please can this book give me zombies? This one is the one I hold out the most hope for because there were lots of zombies in the film. So that's the reading plans. I just want zombies. I want actual zombies for a zombie reading vlog. Is that too much to ask? I love this so far. It's so funny. The humour is already very clear with the way that they're just so blasé about the fact that there are just zombies. And look, we actually have zombies on page 15. We have a picture. There's illustrations throughout this, and this is the Bennett sisters forming a pentagram of death as they decapitate all the zombies, which is what I want. I want decapitating zombies. That is what I've been wanting from this vlog, and this book has given it to me. We get fantastic lines such as "they will be as deadly as they are fetching." We have got a dad who is basically like, the mum is trying to get all her daughters married and the dad says that he's just trying to keep them alive. So I really like the dad. I think he's really good fun. Mr. Darcy is so far an arrogant git that doesn't really seem to be able to hold his own, so I'm interested to see how he turns around. Really trying not to imagine actors playing these characters, but I've naturally got Colin Firth in my head for Mr. Darcy, and I've got Keira Knightley for Elizabeth Bennet. Although I think it's Lily James that plays Elizabeth Bennet in the film, so maybe like a blur of Lily James and Keira Knightley. I know I need to watch these actual adaptations and read the book. I'm wary that that's probably going to change my experience here a little bit because there's already lines that I can see are clearly like mirrored versions of what is in the original text. So I think that's probably going to change how I experience this, but probably be an interesting reading experience. So I know I don't necessarily have the ideal approach here with having not read the base text, but I wanted to read this now and I didn't want to read Pride and Prejudice first and then read this because that would have taken me even longer to get to this, and I just wanted to pick this up because zombies, and it actually has zombies in it, so I'm happy. Well, this hits real nice. I'm not 27, I'm 28, but I'm an unmarried woman, and when I have my crust of bread, I like to wash it down with a cup of loneliness. Thanks, Jane Austen and Seth Graham Smith. Thanks. I get to go meet a puppy today and I'm very excited. My grandma has got a Pouchon, which is a Bichon Frise crossed with a poodle. She is 9 weeks old and she's called Rosie, and I get to go meet her. She's just a ball of fluff. She is just a ball of fluff. So I'm going to put some footage in here of meeting Rosie, but I just need to say a couple of words about Pride and Prejudice and zombies. I mean, the title is correct. This is essentially just Pride and Prejudice with just zombies thrown in. I would love to know what Jane Austen would have thought of this. When did this actually come out? 2009. Okay, so it's been out a little while. Yeah, would have loved to know what Jane Austen thought of this book. I know I haven't read the original story, however, I'm getting glimpses as to what that probably would have been, and I get the impression that this is essentially just zombies inserted into that. It doesn't really seem to be affecting the overriding plot, other than the fact that we're in a society where it's valued if you can defend yourself against the zombies, and our main character has been trained in China to fight the zombies. It's so weird. We've had a heart being pulled out of somebody's body, we've had somebody slowly turning it into a zombie and how that's affecting their speech and their bodily functions. It's so gross. It's got the blood and the gore and the action. It's got what I wanted from a zombie book. It's just not very well executed, but in that sense, it is entertaining because of how bad it is. So that's my current stance with this book. It's so bad, it's funny. And it is giving me zombies. I just want a book that does it all, okay? I don't know if that's too much to ask, but I'm gonna go meet a puppy now. I've got 50 pages left of this book. What the hell is this? Like, everyone is just so brutal. I think because we've opened the door to just like slaying zombies and that's just what you do. Everybody else in the book has just become so brutal and stuff. It's just so funny. I just don't, it's so bad, but it's good because it's bad. And I just, what the hell is this? Like, why? I mean, I'm clearly having a good time. I just, I wouldn't recommend it, but for the sake of this video, it's been a fun reading experience. I've got about 50 pages left, so I'll update you when I'm finished. When Jane Austen wrote a book that became loved by so many people, adapted time and time again, little did she know it would have the insertion of zombies in 2009. I think that Jane Austen would have liked that how fierce this made her characters, because they almost enjoy, they don't almost, they do, they enjoy killing these zombies. There is a pleasure in the destruction of the zombies, which is funny. It just makes it funny. So I think she'd like how bold and fierce this zombie apocalypse has made her main characters. And whilst I haven't read the original text, I have read other Jane Austen writing, and I know that Jane Austen likes to write women that are really strong and independent and fierce. So I think that she probably would have liked that side of this. I don't know if she would have liked some of the actions of some of the characters and some of the thought processes and some of the violence and the aggression that came out of the women towards other characters. Like, what I have learned from this vlog so far, and from any zombie film or TV as well, is that the zombie apocalypse just turns humans into monsters. I feel like it's a Frankenstein situation in that the real monster in Frankenstein is Victor Frankenstein, not the monster itself, and the real zombies are the humans. We suck the life out of other humans in the zombie apocalypse, and I feel like that is the message of all the books that I've read in this vlog so far, in a way. And that's not a great thing if we ever do hit zombie apocalypse level. I mean, I really hope we don't, but you just don't know. You don't know. So I gave this 2.5 out of 5 stars. I feel like I've said everything already on this. It wasn't particularly well written, but it was funny and it was fun and entertaining. And for that reason, I did have a good time with it. It just was very insert zombie here kind of vibe. So it was fine. I just have World War Z left to listen to as an audiobook now, so that's my last book for this vlog. Hoping I like that one. Again, I haven't really found like an overriding success of a book here. What did I rate the first one? Was that a 3-star? And then was Feed a 3-star? 3.5? I can't remember. And then this was a 2.5. They've not been the best. What I'm learning is zombie books are not necessarily for me, but zombie TV shows and films are. I'm listening to the audiobook of World War Z, which is the last book for this vlog, and I feel like might be the one that takes me the longest to get through. It says on the front of it that it's an oral history of the zombie war, so I was definitely expecting a non-fiction-esque tone to it, and it definitely has that, but it is making it an incredibly slow listening experience. I'm not really feeling very excited to pick it up because it does feel like I'm reading a history book, so it's done its job well. It's just not quite clicking with me, unfortunately. I think because at the moment we're getting lots of different people's accounts of where they were when the zombie outbreak started, the fact that they first thought it was rabies and then realised it wasn't, and how that development came about, and then slowly we're piecing together a history of the world and how we've got to where they are in the present day for this book. So it's doing a really good job of that, but it's very disjointed at the moment. We're seeing so many different characters and not really repeating any of those characters, and we just see their story for like a couple of minutes and then we move on to the next story. It is very much like news reports. It's written as a non-fiction, so we're not necessarily getting the conclusion to each individual character's story, and we're having to kind of fill those gaps in using our imagination. And obviously that is the point of this book. I think that is what the author's intended to do here. It's meant to feel like it's this big collective look back on how we got to where we are, but it's feeling for me a little bit frustrating because I'm getting into one of the stories and then it suddenly throws me into another one and I never get to find out what happened. I don't know if we will go back at the end and be able to see the summary of each individual short story that we came across in this book, but this is an example of why I don't read short stories. I did know going into it that it was going to be like this, and it's not really short stories as such, but you are getting different people's experiences, and I just find often it's too short of a time to get stuck into them, and generally find that with short stories I need more time to be able to get stuck into it. So it's letting me down a little bit there, but I did know it was going to be like that going into it, and I did know that that wasn't a format I often get on with, so I am kind of giving it that grace period to allow me to adjust to listening to it, but I'm not really feeling excited to pick it up. I will say, I think that this, out of all the 4 that I've read for this vlog, this one feels the most realistic as to how the world would respond. And I think having seen how the world responded to something like COVID, this has a couple of fleckers of that kind of international response to something. And I think that this one feels like if the zombie apocalypse were to go down, I feel like this has kind of nailed how we would attempt to respond to it. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, hopefully we never find out. So in that sense, I think it's done a really good job. It feels very real. It feels like I am reading an actual history book. So it's done a really good job. It's just not quite entertaining me, unfortunately. I think what I've learned from this whole vlog and the last few weeks of reading zombie books is that whilst I love zombie films and zombie TV shows, I'm not really loving zombie books. I think I can't get absorbed into them in the same way I can when I'm watching a show. When you're watching a TV show or a film with zombies in it, the tension is building with the music, with the characters, the actors, the atmosphere, the cinematography, everything is building that for you. And I feel like for zombies, that works well. Book format instead, it just isn't growing the tension in the same way for me, and books definitely can grow tension and definitely can have that suspense, but I feel like with zombies the action and the tension probably comes across from the visual side of it, so for me the books just aren't quite hitting it, which has been an interesting learning experience because going into this I hadn't really read any zombie books. I will continue to read the odd zombie book if it appeals to me, but this was a new reading experience reading all 4 of these. I'm not wrapping up the vlog, I've still got to finish this, but the next time I update you, hopefully, will be when I'm finished with this book. I've finished this goddamn book! You haven't seen how long this has taken me to read. Realistically, it's been like 2 weeks, but my god, the process of reading this goddamn book. I'm gonna say, I think the audiobook for this was pretty damn good. It was a full cast recording, massive, massive cast, so many fantastic voice actors for this audiobook. And as far as creating an oral history for the zombie war goes, it did a damn good job of that. My issue with this is I found it boring. It reads like a non-fiction, which means you never have a chance to connect with any of the characters because they're not really feeling like characters, it's feeling like a series of real events. So I'm really torn with my review for this because I think what this book was trying to achieve, it has done. And in that sense, 5 stars. It was great in the sense of like being a non-fiction record of what happened in this fictional zombie war. However, as it is actually a fiction and I was reading it to get enjoyment out of it, I did not get enjoyment out of it, I got boredom out of it. There were interesting points and I did enjoy certain stories we followed, but we never got to see these people again. Like, we don't get any interlocking moments, we don't get any conclusion from these moments, we have a lot of questions at the end, we don't really know anything about like where the world is at now really. We've just kind of got things that we can piece together from each individual story. So for so many reasons it just was a bit of a slog to get through, but a fantastic audiobook. So I'm completely contradicting myself. I completely get this. I know. It was just a really good audiobook, great cast, interesting non-fiction-esque story, but it was a fiction and it didn't entertain me. So I gave it 3 out of 5 stars and I'm glad that I finished it. But I'm glad I've read it at the same time. One of the stories is the one that inspired the film, but I can't remember which one, because I can't remember what the film is about. I think that's the case. I think that's what I was told when I bought it. But, oh, Simon Pegg blurbed it, an absolute must-have. I could have lived without it, Simon Pegg. I could have lived without it. Anyway, I finished the last book of this vlog. Oh my god, I feel like I've been filming this vlog forever, but I've also had such a fun time filming this vlog, so let's do a little recap. These are the 4 books we have read in this vlog. Wranglestone was a 3-star read, Feed was a 3.5 star, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies was a 2.5 star, and World War Z was a 3-star. So generally, I think my conclusion from this is I'm not a big fan of zombie books, apparently. I will continue to try various zombie books on and off, and I certainly would like to read the Walking Dead compendium bind-up of the graphic novels. I think I will enjoy that more because I already love the Walking Dead universe, and I think having it as a graphic novel format would be great fun. But I don't know. It was a fun vlog, and I'm glad that I filmed this and I had a lot of fun reading these books, and even if I didn't necessarily enjoy them, it was a fun experience because I just think there's something entertaining in reading about zombies for some reason. And I have been still watching The Walking Dead. I'm on to season 8 now, which I'm so glad about because I felt like season 7, similar to World War Z, I kind of had to slog through it. So this is the wrap up for this vlog. Generally an average of around 3 stars. Which is fine, like that's not on in the middle. Looking back on them all, I think Feed is still my favourite. This one, it gave me more of the story side that I wanted. I just wanted more of the zombie action moments. World War Z was pretty decent for like everything I wanted apart from the story side. It's like they each had something that I wanted, but I wanted them all to have like all of those things. So like maybe if we just knit these 4 together and make a new story based on these, then we would kind of have a zombie story that has it all, but these just didn't quite hit. But I will continue my search. But yeah, zombie books, they're okay. They're okay. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I had a great time filming this. I had a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed the intro as well because I had a lot of fun filming that as well. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.